With S-curve scoliosis, it can be really confusing to know which is the best way to stand, especially in exercises such as yoga and Pilates, where a lot of things are done in standing. You need to make sure that you're standing in the most balanced way. And in this video, I'm going to show you what you need to know when it comes to standing with S-curve scoliosis. I have also created a very handy posture check workbook for you, which you can find in the description below, and this is going to help you get even more specific in your practice. So for our standing posture, we are going to work our way up from the feet because that's our foundation. If you think of building a tower, you really want to make sure that the base is all set up properly, otherwise your tower is going to be falling over. So let's start with the feet, and we want the feet to be at least hip distance apart. And you could try this out if you have, and sometimes in yoga we have the feet together, or some yoga poses have the feet together. You already feel a little bit more wobbly, and you will be probably more likely in your S-curve pattern. So make sure that your feet are at least hip distance apart. If you have them wider, it might look a little bit strange, but it actually gives you a lot more stability as well. It's not always practical. So for this purpose, we're going to have the feet about hip distance apart. And we want to make sure that the right foot does the same as the left foot. So with me, for my S-curve, my right foot tends to turn out. So I know this, and I almost turn it in a little bit more than my left foot. And I make sure that I'm not sinking into the arch of my foot. So that's the feet sorted out. Then we're going to work our way up towards the hips. Now, again, with our scoliosis, we know there is a bit of a twist, a bit of rotation in the spine. So does one of your hips tend to be a little bit further back than the others? So again, just double checking, just making sure that they're aligned. The other thing that can happen is that there might be a little bit of a shift. So again, we want to be in the center. And make sure you practice this in front of the mirror, especially to begin with, because there might be a few more things that you might be able to see, and it's difficult just to rely on your awareness with these things. Good, so once we've got our hips aligned, we want to look after the space here between the ribs and the top of the pelvis. So again, with age, this tends to be kind of to sink down and to compress. We need to look after this. So we want to make sure that the ribs are moving away from the top of the hips as much as we can. Good. And then from there, we've got our rib cage. Again, we don't want this to be shifted over to one side or the other. We also don't want it to be tilted forwards and backwards. So we want it nicely stacked. Everything should be nicely stacked on top of each other. So the last piece here are the shoulders. And if you have that right thoracic, left lumbar curve pattern, you might have that right shoulder, which tends to roll forward. So we're going to think about it, not kind of pushing or pulling it back, but just opening the space here at the front of the shoulder, just to give it a little bit more space. You can also just gently turn your arm slightly outwards, which is going to give you a little bit more space. But there shouldn't be a lot of effort required because your standing posture should be comfortable. And let's see if we can breathe in this position. So we're going to take a nice long inhale and a nice long exhale. Good. And then we're going to relax, shake it off, and then we'll do it all again, but we'll just do it a little bit quicker. So feet hip distance apart, making sure that one foot doesn't turn out. Work our way up towards the hips, making sure they're not rotated, making sure that they're not shifted. We've got that space in between the ribs and the hips. We lengthen, rib cage is not shifted over to the side, it's not tilted forwards or backwards. Lengthening through the crown of the head, creating that little bit of space at the front of the shoulder where you need it. And then let's breathe. So long inhale, long exhale. And you might think, why is she making us breathe? I thought this was about standing posture. Yes, it is, but it's only going to stick if your body starts to feel comfortable in this. And it's only going to feel comfortable if you're able to breathe. Good, so let's take another breath. And then shake it off. So before you go off and take this into your movement or yoga practice, there are just a few things that unfortunately I see happen over and over again that could potentially make things worse. So make sure to watch this video now with the biggest mistakes to avoid when it comes to yoga with S-curve scoliosis.